The new version of PlayStation Plus has finally been launched in America, and I've been playing it non-stop since the second I woke up today, and I want to talk about the goods and the bads, because while there is a lot of very cool aspects to this new service, certain parts of it are like a wet fart in an elevator. They're bad, but they don't quite ruin your day. Let's talk about that. What's up, gamers? DreamcastGuy here. So let's begin with the basics, which is what specifically is PlayStation Plus Deluxe, Essential, and Premium. These are essentially the new different tiers that exist inside of PlayStation Plus. Now, the basic version is what already existed. That's online play, that's cloud saves, that's the ability to get the random free game every month. But I've been more fascinated by these higher tiers because they provide access to over 400 games, including a bunch of retro stuff, which we need to talk about towards the end of this video. But let's begin with this middle tier, which is called Deluxe. Now, this gives you access to what they call the PlayStation Collection. So this is the biggest gauntlet of different games you can play. It's everything first party that's not brand freaking new. So everything that's come out on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 by Sony themselves is on here. That means Days Gone, Ghost of Tsushima, freaking Death Stranding, Spider-Man, everything is on here. Ratchet and Clank, Returnal. But what I find extra fascinating about this is that typically Sony's been doing that thing where about a year after they release a game, they do a re-release called a Director's Cut. This has the Director's Cut versions of all these games, meaning you can play their full content, the DLC, all the upgraded patches to see them and how glorious they look on the PlayStation 5. But you can also just play the PlayStation 4 versions of it. Now, along with this, there is, of course, 350 other games that aren't made by PlayStation, and I'll be honest, I'm kind of impressed by how wide the selection is. It's weird anime games, it's Red Dead Redemption, it's stuff like Warhammer Vermintide. It is just pages and pages and pages of games straight up that are incredibly good. I'm not even sure how the heck they're working out the payment plan of this, but it definitely seems like PlayStation is trying to open up their pocketbook. Now, to somebody like me who already owns pretty much every PlayStation first-party game ever released, I find this service to be incredibly valuable because there is games I've missed. There is third-party stuff that like Saints Row or whatever that I have missed here and there where I wish I had one of the entries that I'd beaten in the past. It's cool that there's just so much to play on here, and it looks great. The fact that there's so many Resident Evils, there's Final Fantasies, there's just so many games on here that are action-packed, playable, fantastic, and included in the service. Now, we need to talk about the interesting part of this, which is that all of these games are downloadable, but they can also be streamed if you want to. So if you're somebody that is trying to save room on your console, it seems like PlayStation is sort of trying to push the idea of making downloads more optional, and I personally don't like that a lot. I still feel like streaming gaming, the technology is not fully there yet, but this does bring me to the final tier and the one that I subscribed to. So this is PlayStation Plus Premium. It is the most expensive. It is $18 a month. And it's interesting. So this has games, including the PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 selection you've already witnessed. This now has a bunch of PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, and PlayStation Portable games on it. But additionally, it has some extra features added in. Now, let's start things off with probably the biggest question you have. How do these games look and play? Quite frankly, they are fantastic. This is a crazy emulator they've built inside of the PlayStation 4, PlayStation 5, playing PS1 games on my huge TV at 60 frames a second. Sometimes it seems like they're upscaled to 4K. Like, these are still the original assets, these are still the original backgrounds, so it's not going to suddenly look like a next-gen game, but these are very, very crisp versions of these retro games. Now, if you want it to look slightly worse just for funsies, there are some optional filters like CRTs that simulate old school style of TVs or old school styles of graphic functionality. But to me, I like the modern look of a lot of these games. Now, this is weird, but part of the problem I have with these PlayStation 1 games specifically is that right now they are incredibly scattershot. So some of these games have trophies, some of them don't. Some of these games are here and some aren't. Like, it's weird the fact that there's right here, this is Siphon Filter 1, which is obviously made by PlayStation, but there's no Siphon Filter 2 or 3 or Logan Shadow. And some of these have trophies, some of them don't. It's weird that there's just this completely random set of old school games that are on the service right now. There's already been some leaks that looks like freaking Dino Crisis is going to show up right now. They didn't even announce this until today, but this is actually freaking Resident Evil 1. The classic director's cut from PS1 is just on the service, but Sony didn't even say this was going to be here. Like, there just seems to be some random plan. And I will admit the fact that I wish we had a bit more of a big selection. As it stands, there is not a lot of retro games for this $18 price tag. Now, the secondary tier of playing PS4, PS5 stuff, that seems totally worth it. But to me, a lot of these PlayStation 2 games, playing through Dark Cloud or frickin' Red Faction, it's cool to see these PlayStation 2 games, redone for the PlayStation 4. I think that's nice. I just wish we had a bigger selection right at the start. I wish we were deeper into what this catalog is probably going to get eventually. But let's talk about the PlayStation 3 streaming service. So, I'm not exactly sure why they did this, but somebody at Sony headquarters has determined that instead of making it so that you could download and play the PlayStation 3 games natively, the way you can with all the other systems on this service, they have made it where you stream PlayStation 3 games from the Sony servers onto your console. So I've been testing this out both with good internet and bad internet. So this morning, I went over to a friend's house who has terrible internet and I tried to play a bunch of MotorStorm. It works. It doesn't work great. I definitely crashed a lot while playing it, but it sort of functions. If you were just trying to get the idea of the PlayStation 3 experience, you could do it. If you're playing something that's like turn-based combat, you can absolutely do it. But anything that requires reaction speed, like God of War Ascension, this stuff requires a good internet connection. So here I am using practically gigabit. This is a 400 megabyte speed internet right here that's being used for this gameplay. And it's more functionable. I have to say that I think the selection of PlayStation 3 games is very, very, very fantastic. It has so much stuff that I love. Like, I love the old light gun shooter Resident Evils, like Dark Side Chronicles and Umbrella Chronicles. They're on here. They work fantastic. This service in general is good. It's got Infamous on it. It's got a lot of stuff on here that works, but all of it still, even with the fastest internet, it doesn't look very good. There's always this very slight muddiness. There's even with really good internet, even with really good reaction time, there's still this like half frame delay a lot of times to your actions that just, it becomes irksome after a while. There is some rumors that Sony is trying to work with some sort of idea of getting more games on here or making a custom PlayStation 3 emulator in the future, but as it currently stands, even with the best internet, most people are never going to get a chance to actually beat any of these PlayStation 3 games, and to me, that does seem like a downside. Now, what do I think about this overall? The service is interesting, but I feel like this is going to be one of those circumstances where the less games you own, the more you're getting out of this. If you are just somebody that's jumping into this after only being an Xbox fan or only playing Nintendo Switch for your entire life, well, this is going to be a much more lucrative selection of games than somebody like me who already owns most of this stuff. I mean, I already owned 600 PlayStation 4 games before I started playing this, so there isn't a lot in here that's new and flashy and different, except for games that I didn't want to play originally. Additionally, I do have some thoughts specifically about the way that the highest tier works. As it stands, a lot of these PlayStation 1 games, like, I think they look great. Abe's Odyssey is nice. Ape Escape is truly freaking stunning how good this game looks. Everything does run at 60 hertz, but these games can also be purchased individually. I don't care about games like Jumping Flash or Worms Armageddon and stuff like that. So really, to me, I feel like if you're smart, just buy the games you want. A lot of these individual PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 games are $9 a pop. I think it might be more worth your time and certainly worth your buck to just cherry pick the certain experiences you know you're going to play instead of subscribing to a subscription service forever. I'm going to enjoy this month of PlayStation Plus Premium, but then there is a 99% chance I'm about to downgrade down to the lower tiers. I'm probably still going to keep it at the middle PlayStation Plus Deluxe. That way I can have access to that big selection of games. It's basically everything that was on PlayStation Now rolled together into PlayStation Plus. It's a big catalog of very good games. It's a good excuse to play Bloodborne for the 900th time or whatever like that. But as it stands, I just wish that they could improve the PlayStation 3 aspect and give us everything that Sony has. Where is Legend of Dragoon? Where is all the stuff that Sony definitely owns and is just optionally choosing not to put on the service now? I don't know. These are just some off-the-cuff thoughts. What do you think about this new service? Are you excited for it, or do you think this is a big dud? Tell me your thoughts in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed this video, give it a big old thumbs up, share with your friends, and subscribe if you haven't already. But do me the biggest favor of all, and keep dreaming. Oh, man. I am going to play so much of that Resident Evil, though. That's so cool. Oh, I forgot to mention, you can rewind and create save states. It's pretty cool. Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.